Just had to turn around, you know? That's all. She's not running her best because we don't have any O2 sensors in. So that's an important thing turbo cars ECU needs to determine air fuel. But I had to rip on it again because the last time I got out of it as soon as it got into boost, so like I had to do it again. Okay, so let's get this thing up on the lift to tell you guys what we're doing today. Though you probably already know because of the title of the video, but if not, I'll tell you. All right. Oh, so what we have here, BC Racing DS series coilovers. I've gone over the differences between linear and digressive shocks, which would be linear BR, digressive DS, a few times. But basically the long and short of it is a digressive shock gets stiffer the faster it moves. So the faster the wheel is traveling, the stiffer the valving is. A digressive shock is really stiff in the beginning, then tapers off. So what that means is all your low speed damping, which is basically all of your driver inputs turning into a turn, hitting the brakes, accelerating, all of the stuff where you want the suspension to be stiff and sporty and composed and have good feedback, it's stiff. But then when you get into the high speed shock velocities, which is bumps, you know, like curbing on a track, things like that, it's soft. So you really get the best of both worlds. I run DS's on every car I own. I absolutely love them and swear by them. So yeah, anyway, so let's get them out of the box. Check them out, see what they look like. I don't normally do unboxings, but I have a feeling there's gonna be some funny notes in here from my old coworkers. So with BC coilovers, you get your custom build, little spec list, checklist, whatever you want to call it. Camber Gang Ray. So what do we have on here? People are gonna ask. 227K front, 226K rear. I spec'd these out so long ago, I don't remember. They're pretty, look at that, they literally checked every part. Oh my God, they're BR, DS, RM, ER, HM, ZR series, and they're street, extreme low, drift spec, drag spec, and other. Obviously, it's just my old coworkers trolling me, which is hilarious. Makes me miss them. Okay, let's dig into the box here. Ooh, I wish I could do the, like, yeah, never mind. Oh, they're nice and cold because they've been inside since I got them. I got them months ago and I just haven't been ready to put them on yet. So these are, oh God, okay. Let me get these out of the box while not holding a camera in the one hand, and then I'll show you guys what's going on. So something interesting about this chassis, Subarus in general, really up until, I don't know Subaru chassis codes that well, but like GD? Maybe even later than that. Most Subarus up until the newer stuff, you know, within 10 years old, is all McPherson front, which a lot of stuff's McPherson front, but also McPherson rear. So what that means is this bolts directly to the knuckle. So with a chassis like this, you could actually get rear camber plates and be able to adjust your rear camber at the shock, because you have a lower control arm, basically a tension arm, and then this is the top of your hub. So if you tilt it in, tilts the wheel in. Front McPherson rear. Most cars are multi-link rear. Anyway, nerd stuff. So yeah, just basically, it's a pretty standard kit. I think I spec'd out longer stroke shocks. More stroke is ideal because basically you won't have to worry as much about potentially bottoming out the shock, which bottoming out the shock is just bad. It's just not good. So, all right. I mean, that's pretty much all I can tell you guys about them. Pretty simple. You guys have seen me install coilovers before, but never on an all-wheel drive car, never on a McPherson front and rear car, never on a Subaru. So we're doing it. So obviously first step, we got the car up in the air. First step is pull all the wheels off, see what we're working with, come up with a plan of attack to remove the coilovers. Should be pretty simple, honestly, because it's McPherson front and rear, it should be pretty simple. Well, first things first. So the reason these are really easy to take off is because you have the top bolts up there, which the hardest part's gonna be if those are difficult to get to or not. These two bottom bolts. And then obviously the BCs have the appropriate bracket for the brake line. These, whatever these coilovers are, do not. Well, we're gonna start with the worst part, getting to the rear top shock bolts. So you can't really get them back here. They're in that cavity, like right in there. And of course, the seat back is in the way. So we need to pull the seat, the whole seat out to get to the top of the coilovers, which is probably still gonna be difficult. I personally prefer to start with the worst part of projects first. That way, like once you get it done, you're done and you're on to the easy stuff. You do all the easy stuff first. I don't know, that's just preference 100%, but that's the way I like to do it. So, I'm gonna get these top shock bolts out of the rear. The fronts are obviously super easy, right there in the engine bay. The rears are, they're gonna be a little tricky. Rear seat is out. So now you can kind of see where the studs are. They're right here. So the back one's gonna be a little annoying to get to, but all in all, it shouldn't be too terrible. It actually works out too, because this thing wasn't in correctly. And I still need to change the fuel pump. So I took that plate off. I was gonna change the fuel pump a few videos back. I have the DeechWorks pump to put in. And I was like, I'm just gonna end the video now, and then I'll do the pump, and then I'll go inside and be done for the day. And I was like, I need to take the rear seat out, and I just didn't do it. So we can do that now too. But first coilovers, first coilovers. Lazy Taylor, man, I've been admitting to my own laziness a little bit too much lately. You guys are gonna think I'm really that lazy. It just depends. It's just hot. I'm getting to work. Getting to work. All right, so we got the top nuts out. Pretty easy, really wasn't that bad. So now we need to get the lower bolts out. I tried it with my normal impact, not happening. These were tightened by the Hulk. Have to get my big boy impact, and then they come out pretty easy. We yank the coilover out, and we're done. Old, new. These are pretty beat. You can see the dust boots are like completely disintegrated into a bunch of little pieces. The springs aren't tight. The lock rings are seized. Like, meh. So, yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to go ahead and throw the new rears in. It shouldn't be too bad. And we have brake line bracket. Hashtag proper. Hashtag, but we're probably still gonna zip tie it in there. Ben's over here taking one for the team, draining the oil drain thing, taking it to the dump.
Fun stuff, man.
People really enjoyed your enthusiasm in the last video.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they said it was great. Said Careless Ben's on a whole new level. Alright, so it's time to reinstall the coilover. So we drop the car down, grab the coilover, we put it in the top first and get the top studs on because they're kind of hard to get to. So we get those in, we tighten them all down. We then do the same on the other side, obviously the exact same process, throw it in the top, get the top nuts on. Then we tighten them down, and then we are ready to move on to getting the lower mount in. So what we do is we jack up the hub into basically the clevis of the mount, just kind of move it up and down until it's perfectly aligned so we can get the nut and bolts in, and then we just tighten them down. All right, rears are in. Look at how nice those look. BC coilovers always just look so good. They're just so nice. Anyway, rears are in. Time to move on to the fronts. Should be easier. But I shouldn't say that because then it won't be. But I'm not gonna go there. So luckily I didn't jinx myself, and the fronts do end up being super easy. So first we take the lower bolts out, drop it down. I don't like leaving the axle hanging like this for very long because it can pop out of the socket. So we quickly get the top nuts out, get the coilover out, grab the next coilover, throw it in, throw the top nuts on, tighten them down, bring the car down, get the jack up the knuckle, get it into the clevis, get the bolts to line up, and put them in and tighten them down. About as easy as it gets for coilovers. The jankness is out, all of it. BCs are on in the rear, BCs are on in the front. We got like the brake line in the spot where it's supposed to be, the ABS wire bolted on, like all the stuff that is not on those other coilovers. It's on these, and it's all hooked up correctly. So the time has come. We're gonna put the wheels on. We're gonna see how low it is. This is probably my least favorite part of coilovers, is just trying to get the ride height finalized, because you can't really tell exactly how high it's gonna be until it settles, and then, you know, it's a lot of up and down and taking it off the lift, driving it around, putting it back on. So hopefully it's close the first time. Let's find out. Moment of truth. Oh, also, I realized that this wheel bearing is Tostamundo. Well, that's honestly about where I want it. It'll settle about a ½ inch. Maybe drop the front a little lower. I don't really want to go too crazy trying to dial in the ride height until I have wheels and tires like set up and kind of fitted the way I need them. That way I can determine what is and isn't going to work. But it definitely looks better being, you know, an inch or so lower than it was, even with the stockies. Also, conveniently, I hate those spline lug nuts because these ones in particular are all rusty, so the freaking thing gets stuck on them, and I just hate those. I use like all of this style, but luckily I accidentally ordered an extra set for the Z of these, which are M12125, which is the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw these on real quick. But coilover install done. I'm gonna throw these on, and then we're gonna move on to the fuel pump.
It's not nearly low enough.
Ben is one of those people where he'll make fun of me for my car not being low enough, and then make fun of me for my car being too low and annoying, and then make fun of me for it not being low enough, and then make fun of me for it being too low. That's who Ben is. Okay, people? That's who he is. All right, time for the fuel pump install. So first we have to remove the stock fuel assembly. Have a little trouble getting these nuts out because this bar is kind of in the way of getting the impact there, and I don't like not using impacts. I'm so used to them. These two hoses towards us are difficult. They were really annoying because there's not enough slack to pull them back, so I really had to finagle them to get them out. But once I got those out, we're just finagling the pump out, and we're done. All right, we got our fuel pump hanger out. Oh, that's really cool. It comes with a jumper pigtail. Yeah, so pump was barely in there. Pretty jank. The rubber like grommet bushing thing for the bottom is toast. So this one thing I really love about these DeechWorks pumps, this is like direct OEM replacement. See the shape of this rubber right there? Same shape as this. It's a proper OEM replacement, proper connector, the correct fuel pickup instead of just a generic universal one. These DeechWorks drop-in pumps are amazing. They come with a whole line of these. I've got one in the Miata. I'm making like close to 400, probably 375 on that car with the 85. Still plenty of fuel, so I really, really like these pumps. But anyway, let's go ahead and swap it all over and get it back in. All right, pump reinstall. So this was a little bit of a challenge. It's got to go in at like an angle, and then you've got the fuel level like float that has to kind of get like twisted all the way, put in, and then drop back down. So I wanted to check and make sure that was good and all of that. But once it's in, it's just getting the nuts on, tightening them down, getting the hoses on, which went on way easier than they came off. That's pretty much it. All right, fuel pump is in. New fuel pump setup, all in, buttoned up, back seats back in, coilovers are on, lug nuts are on, everything's done. We are finished with our projects for Miss Jackson today. We were pretty much caught up until we get our exhaust parts, and it's exhaust and like the final touches, you know, like all the little stuff, body panel clips and things like that. But literally basically the last main thing we have to do is the exhaust and then go drive it. So I'm super hyped. Well, we got, you know, all the stuff done, and just in the nick of time because tonight is league night, which I'm very excited about. So finished literally just in time. We got like 10 minutes before we need to head out. So when you get ready, head to league night. I'll see you guys there. Qualified second, 28.2, not bad.
You know, the good thing is I may not be that slow because he's going to be behind me pushing me.
Green flag right over there. First time by.
Oh, this one turns left. The cart I had for qualifying did not want to turn left, and the cart I had the last race last week did not want to turn right. Like, it was very snappy and twitchy one direction and dull the other way. I've had that one. I might have got lucky. This cart might be good. It steers left and right for the first time in 2 races now. So league night is qualifying, and normally you have 2 races. This is actually a mini enduro, so it's one big race. It's a 30-minute race, and then you have to pit stop somewhere in there, and it's basically 2 races. So halfway through is one race, the second half finishes is the next race. So I qualified second and immediately got passed, so now my goal is to at least get back up into second, hopefully first. So I had pulled a big gap on Silver Fox, and then I just started getting kind of lazy, not pushing super hard, and the next thing I know, he was pretty much caught up to me. So this is the last lap for the halfway point. So basically at the end of this lap will be the finish of race 1. So I'm just like doing everything I can to hold on to second place to make it through the checkers of this first half of the race in second place. And there's the halfway markers. That's basically like the freaking checkered flag. I was stoked. I was like, alright, at least I got one race in with a good podium finish. Now let's hope to hold on to this for the rest of the race. So now we've just caught up to some slow traffic. They are behind us. I'm still in second. I just need to get past them to keep moving and not get passed from behind. Closing in on the end of the race, so I decided to get my pit stop in. It takes about 4 laps, so I didn't want to run the risk of like not getting back on track and finishing the race. So I go in probably, I think, like, I don't know, 6 to 8 laps before the end of the race.
Oh, this car feels so weird. It's kind of funny with a longer race like this, you really get into the groove of like the cart and the track layout and all that stuff. Like you just like flow with it. It feels so good.
Boy got third.
I got second both races. It's very exciting.